Hello, this is Mrs. Taylor, and I'm going to review with you the process for solving a linear equation with a table and with a graph. So in the other video posted on Google Classroom, that is a review of how to solve this particular equation algebraically. Now, some of you may prefer a method that involves a table or a graph, and so this is the review for that. So where I want to start is I want to build a table for each side of the equation. I want to build a table for 20 minus 7x and for 6x minus 6. Now the nice thing about having the graphing calculators is the calculator will build the table for me. So what I want to do first, of course, always clear the memory. So that would be second plus 7, 1, 2. That takes you through the process of clearing the memory, and now I have a fresh start on my calculator. Where I want to go in order to build my table is y equals. And we're going to split our equation into two halves. We're going to have the left half and the right half. The left one will be my y1, and the right will be y2. And sorry for my handwriting. Using the mouse can be tricky. So what I'll do is type in 20 minus 7x for y1. And then I will type 6x minus 6 for y2. What my calculator will do is build a table for the left half and the right half. What I'm looking for is where the two are equal. So when I look at my table, I'm looking at my y values to see where they are equal. If I press second graph, you see here in blue it says table, so second graph will take me to the table. And if you look, y1 here is my left side of the equation, and y2 is the right side, and I'm looking for where they are equal. Now, sometimes it will be in this list. Sometimes I may have to scroll up or down. Do not forget that if I press the up arrow, that takes me into negative values, and the solution can be negative, so you need to make sure that if you don't see it, you scroll up and down to look for it. Now, for this particular problem, I am noticing that the y values are the same here. When x equals 2, both y values are 6 at the same time. So that would be where my two halves are equal, so that gives me my solution. Make sure when you are using your table that you list the correct value as your solution. In the equation, there are x's. So that means my solution has to be what x equals. And when I look at the table for that part, I'm looking for where, I'm looking for where the y's are equal to find the x value that makes the y's equal. So my solution is x equals 2. If I substitute that back into each half, I should get the same output. So 20 minus 7x would become 20 minus 7 times 2. I can type that in my calculator really quickly. 20 minus 7. And then anytime I substitute, I use parentheses. I get 6. And then if I test it in the right side, 6x minus 6 would become 6 times 2 minus 6. Did I get the exact same output from both? Yes. So I tested my solution and it does work. Now, some of you may feel a little overwhelmed when you look at the table. That's a lot of information to take in. Sometimes it can be hard to see where they're the same. So what I can also use is my graph. So instead of pressing second graph, I just press graph, and I can visually see where the solution is. It's where the two lines cross. And so if I can't see that by pressing graph immediately, remember in class we talked about the zoom fit feature? So if I go to zoom and scroll down to option 0, you'll see zoom fit. If I choose that, I'm telling the calculator to give me the best viewing window for these two equations. And so I can still see where they cross. They cross here, and that is the one x value that gives me the exact same y value for both sides of the equation. If I need help determining where exactly that is on the line, I can press trace, and that gives me a little blinking cursor that traces one of the lines. If I want to switch it to the other line, I press the down arrow, and I can trace along that line. Either way, as I get to the intersection, if you look down here at the bottom, I'm getting these decimal responses. And that's the flaw with the graph, is it's always an estimate. But as I get closer, I'm noticing that the x is between 1.9 and 2.1. And so a good estimate would be x equals 2. And that is where testing it becomes so important. If I think it's x equals 2 from the graph, then I need to take the time to substitute it in to check to make sure that is correct. And once I do, I have confirmation that is the solution. So graphically, I can also determine the solution. It's always an estimate, but it's a pretty good one. And once I substitute it in, I have confirmation that that is my solution. So that's how you can solve any of these equations using a table or a graph. It doesn't matter whether it's one step, two step, multi-step, whatever it involves. If you split it into two halves, use your calculator. You can solve it with the table or with the graph.